Good evening, Sanjiv, and welcome to MedicinMan Pharma CEO Roundtable, which we are holding in a hybrid model this time. The first round is we are having one-on-one with CEOs so that they get sufficient airtime to express their opinions. And then we are meeting on March 1st from 7 to 9 in the evening, where Vikas Dandekar and Sumit Chandana of ENY will be addressing the group of CEOs and having both formal and informal discussions after that. So this is the event that I was talking about.
Sure.
It's at the JW Marriott, and Vikas and Sumit are the keynote speaker. This whole program has been curated by Salil over the last 6 months, when we've had series of discussions with the various C-suite leaders. And this is culminating with our one-on-one with CEOs and then face-to-face with CEOs, which again will be recorded and broadcast. Because what we have seen in the last 10 years is that there is a great interest among the pharma people for what CEOs have to say about anything and everything. And you are one of the few people who are active on Twitter, and you have been on our platform from the very first brainstorm that we had at that point of time. So it would be wonderful to have you with us. Let me straight away go to the first question to you, sir. So you have always been a strong proponent of customer engagement, either offline or online. How do you see pharma engaging with its customers with the advent of new technology and the opportunity that it provides?
So good evening, everyone. And thank you, Anup, for asking me to speak on a topic where probably, Anup, you and Salil are the pioneers in the country and have been speaking on technology and its influence on our market probably for the last decade now. You both have been at it. And when others didn't even understand what you were talking, I think you have been at it. So I must first of all compliment both of you for being at it all the time, and rightfully so. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really good people in dealing with this. So, this is a question that comes up regularly, that how should pharma engage with its customers? And we have this great ability in our industry to bring it to the least common denominator. So we think that we should create an electronic rep or internet rep, and the detailing should happen through that. So that's probably the lowest common denominator, and that is where we end discussions on engagement. To me, that is the depressing part. For me, what has technology done and engagement, and what it is supposed to do with engagement, is a slightly different story. The fact remains that today, technology is also enabling doctors to access product knowledge, access latest trials, access what it is at their own time, at their own spare time. So they don't need a medical rep to come and tell them base information that as earlier times, or they don't need a product manager to come and talk to them through features of a product. I'm not seeing that need any longer to that extent. Yes, the field guy is creating share of voice, and therefore in a branded generic market, sometimes they create value by making the brand more visible or being talked about or reminded about. So, but that's a different story. To me, what technology is doing is totally different. What technology is doing is filling in a very important gap. And where are the gaps today? And ultimately, we should look at all gaps from the point of view, are we adding value to the patient or not? And that value to the patient, that if you have to add, will come through 2-3 things that a professional can do. Basically, there is support system that a patient requires at times. So let's say in a diabetes patient, it could be counseling. In an oncology patient, it could be different kind of counseling. Yeah. So there is a counseling need at times. Yeah. In certain cases, it is use, how to use a product or how to use a drug, when to take the drug. So, for example, if you have to check your blood sugar, if you have to be demonstrated on how to use your insulin pen. So there is certain use related support that technology can help. Yeah. So that is the other story of the help that is required. But the third story that technology can do really is for the doctor to make it more engaging and useful. How do we create a system by which we are able to create access to the doctor to use cases, to information, to interaction with other doctors, to bring in different stakeholders at the same time? Suppose you need a diagnostic and a device and let's say a counselor at the same stage, all three of them together with the doctor to talk to the patient. How can you get them all together? It is so much and so far easier with technology today. Therefore, you can add value to the patient substantially. Unless we start thinking of that, unless we ensure that we start implementing areas where we really create value for both the doctor and the patient, we are not going to be engaging enough as a pharma company. And that is where probably the advent of technology should drive us to. Uh, Otherwise, a doctor will tell you, why should I look at you? Now I have Chat GPT. I will go to Chat GPT and find out my answers. So you are easily replaceable. And the only way you cannot be replaceable or become irreplaceable is literally adding value to both the doctor and the patient on a platform that can ensure that everybody gets what they want. And that what they want is something of a topic that every company will need to start thinking of. Because as I always say that, look, you see only the initial signs of problem today, but when it happens, it will happen in such a quick fashion that you will be lost. So that's, to me, these are the opportunities that we have. I don't want to get into a set of opportunities and all in detail. That's not the right for time to discuss everything. But this is my, let's say, thinking around customer engagement through technology.
Great. That's very wonderful that you said that we should not just be thinking about whether we should have an AI-based rep and things like that and adopting technology for the sake of technology, but rather having a clear understanding of how can pharma use technology to help the patients better, especially as you rightly said in the era of NCDs. When you have diabetes, hypertension, where these customers have a lifetime value. Now, I've been taking antihypertensive drugs for 40 years. I have not met anybody from the companies to come or even the doctor to refer to me a source of service to what is the implication of taking these drugs for such a long time. And so many patients, in the absence of such a service, just drop out. And non-compliance is such a big billion-dollar question, and these can easily be addressed by technology. And how can we better engage with doctors? By bringing multiple stakeholders, though whether it is diabetes and a need for a dietitian as soon as the doctor finishes his consultancy, or if he's an orthopedic and he needs to be connected with the physiotherapist and do the exercises and keep following it up through an app. These are all wonderful ways in which pharma can deliver genuine value. So that's an excellent insight that you have given to us. The second question that I have for you is, much has changed in the macro environment since 2020. Do you think that pharma has pivoted enough, or do you see any specific areas where more attention is required?
So pharma is a very, very quick and efficient and an outstanding learner before the product comes to the market. So if you look at manufacturing, R&D, clinical, profiling, all that you see, that probably pharma is an industry which stands out. And pharma is a very, very slow tortoise grade learner when it comes to front ending. So there are enough places where pharma has pivoted substantially. For example, if you look at clinical trials, outstanding the way now dynamic clinical trials, remote control clinical trials. If you look at all that has changed since, let's say, 2020 as a marquee year from COVID time. But so much has changed, dramatically changed, and it is already in action. Yeah. And I give you just one example. Look at interaction with regulators. Dramatically changed. Yeah. Very quickly, you are able to talk to regulators. You can hold a meeting at 10 o'clock in the night. Also, they could have SECs in India. So much has changed. Yeah. And there's so much information that you are able to pass on to the regulators well. There is so much more in manufacturing, smart manufacturing. Look at the digitalization in manufacturing. Dramatic changes in the last 3 years. I've had to build capex after capex to ensure that we stay on course. Yeah. So great. So there, I think pharma has pivoted very well. I think pharma, where it has been slow, is trying to understand that markets have changed, front ending has changed, customer needs have changed, patient needs are evolving. So that is where I think pharma has been very slow. And I'll give you very simple example that there are diseases and diseases, but there are certain diseases where a patient is uncomfortable talking to anybody or uncomfortable to be seen in public. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's say I have PCOS or I have epilepsy. Just look at these kind of diseases. So is there a place where I can go and at least confide and say, okay, I have this problem. Can I get some valuable, credible information? Can I prepare myself first before I go and visit a doctor? Can I use technology to reach out to a doctor because I don't want to go to be seen that I'm visiting this doctor's clinic? Now, these are things which have to be pivoted very well. Are pharma companies helping in this? Probably not. I don't think they even understand sometimes the disease work that they are in. So there, I think we are not making a change. We had a great opportunity to move our, let's say, pharma market presence or marketing or whatever you might call it, to move from share of voice to share of mind. And we were struggling, and most companies had started to think, where is share of mind story going to come from? But moment restrictions have been lifted, we are back to square one. Our old habits have returned. Now everybody is checking call averages, frequency. Again, the same thing has started. We have fallen back on our old habits. So therefore, if you ask me, where it needs to change is in the front end. And where it needs to change in front end is, again, I'll go back to a few things. That where is the need that a patient has? Where is the need that doctor has of me today? And can I specify them and actually deal with those issues rather than be another parrot that who goes to the market and talks about the brand? Because that is not something even the doctor is interested in. So why do you see that reaction from hospitals that you have to pay if you have to enter my hospital and make a marketing call? Or why do you see doctors writing outside their clinic that I am not going to see medical rep? They stopped seeing value. Why is it? The question that I would ask the doctor is, okay, tell me, where do you see value? What can I do to ensure that you're better off? So I think that these questions we don't. So divided into two parts, pivoted enough and very well at the back end, not pivoted enough on the front end. And that is because my understanding of customer need and consumer need is very different. And we have to take into account that there is no longer a patient. Patient is behaving very close to a consumer. That journey the patient has made. We are still making the journey from doctor to patient. We have been, every company talks about patient centricity and all. That journey itself we are not able to make well. Where are we going to make the journey from patient to consumer? So there is serious nuance required and understanding required from managements across pharma companies to think about it.
Great. I couldn't have asked for a better person to elucidate it so well, that pharma is not a laggard while adopting technology. And you have very rightly pointed out that be it R&D, be it clinical trials, be it interaction with the regulators, we've all moved into real-time discussions and real-time solutions. But pharma somehow is not or unwilling to accept that markets have changed, patients have transformed, doctors have access to the information or even better information than pharma is able to provide them. Therefore, the question, as you said, that I would put it this way is that, is pharma valuing doctors' time? And doctor's meter is running because he has now spent 15 years studying medicine and now he just wants to focus on treating patients. and not want to spend time getting irrelevant information. So, and this is where technology really has to play a role at the front end. The thinking or the mindset has to change. So the back end adoption of technology has to now come to the front end as well, if pharma has to add value to their customer interactions. Final question to you. Marketing teams have evolved and are more comfortable today with a hybrid or a digital customer engagement strategy. Could you tell us about any interesting work that Bharat Serum and Vaccines has done in this area?
Yeah, I think this is a good question. The charity begins at home. If you can't do it, then you can't tell others to do it. Yeah. So I think that's a very, very valid question. And no, we can go into reams and reams of discussion on this. But let me take a few examples, maybe only probably one small area of example for I to explain to you that what we are trying to do with technology. I think we have, let's say, in fertility area, what have we done? With technology, we are able to provide help on counseling for patients or couples. Yeah, that they can have a safe place and safe discussion with people who understand this issue better, to get them ready for a discussion with a doctor or understand the discussion with the doctor better. Then we have technology that helps us to help them through, if they make a decision, they are facing cash flow issues, how can microfinance help them? Through technology, we are able to connect them to companies who in fintech who can help them out. So we have some of that done. We also have a channel by which doctors talk to each other, and that can be accessed by at the moment by medical community, but also with some permissions, patients can access that discussion. So it allows doctors to talk to each other on a difficult situation, difficult cases, understanding what they do on diseases which are not clearly do like, I think again I'm taking this on PCOS. Treatments are not defined properly right now. Treatment guidelines are not enough. So what do you do? What do I do? How do we deal with it? Those kinds of discussions on difficult topics have been enabled by technology by us within a closed environment. What else we do there? So there is also BSV with you ecosystem that we have created, where a lot of stuff of information can be easily accessed by anybody, any medical or HCP, let's say, can access those information, which can be helpful on any related topic in women's health or in fertility. We also recently, we saw the ART law being passed. So it has put a lot of conditions on how the fertility clinics function. So how we have created a internet help desk by which people can consult through technology, lawyers who can help them through, okay, what are the conditions? How do I become more compliant in this area? So technology can be used in very many ways. And if you see, none of this is product promotion. None of this is holding a detail aid.
Absolutely.
This is not a virtual rep that is talking to anybody. Yeah. This is actual help of where the issues are. So when I'm saying a few things that I mentioned before, I'm also saying it by telling my own teams to do it. I'm not trying to tell, I'm not trying to be, not walk the talk. Hmm? Because you cannot talk the talk, you have to walk the talk. Yeah. So if you have to walk the talk, then you have to do this. So there is a lot of work we are trying to do. Are we there? Are we very capable company using technology? Probably not. I think we are still far away from where we can say that. But is it changing culture within the company that this is what you need to focus on? Are people starting to think that, okay, I cannot do this nonsense of virtual rep, but I have to do something more valuable that can help the community that needs help? I think that kind of thought process has started entering. So I'm hopeful that in many, many areas we will be able to do this in future. So I gave you a small example of one part of the company, what we are doing.
Great. I think wherever you have gone, you have always used technology to add value. And I'm really fascinated to hear how you are helping couples with infertility issues, not only to understand the medical part of it, but going ahead and seeing if they have financial needs and putting them in touch with a fintech company, and then further going ahead because the laws are changing and putting in touch with lawyers. I mean, this is the complete bouquet of service till they come out with the baby. And I hope you'll find an astrologer as well to connect them, because that is one field that has really taken digital by storm. I get ads every day about some or the other astrology app, so it's really fantastic. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
this
you.
time out.
Thank you,
These
Anup. Thank
examples
you,
will
Salil.
remain with us. This is the part of the thought leadership series that we are creating, where CEOs come and speak from their experiences and give insights. It will be invaluable to the young product managers as well as C-suite people to understand and take such decisive steps as to the you have to put the patient in the center, because he's the ultimate consumer and he's slowly or has already become a consumer rather than being a patient, and therefore his demands are different, and he's not passive anymore, and therefore you have to add value. So thank you very much, Sanjiv, and I look forward to seeing you on the first. We have put together Vikas and Sumit Chandna, and I'm sure that the discussion will be very, very fruitful for everybody concerned. So thank you
I'm
once again.
sure. I'm sure. I wish you all the best for the event. And once again, I repeat that the real thought leaders on technology are Anup Sons and Salil Kalyanpur. We are Nimitta Matra. The real thought leaders are you both.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you. Thank you once again. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you.